So in this healing, what I found was somebody who was experiencing what would be considered normal kind of interactions with people as as really potential threats, as if she was walking around um, just really completely worried and paranoid all the time that she wasn't good enough, she was doing something wrong. Mostly this dealt with issues at work with bosses and managers, etc., etc. But it was really causing a tremendous amount of stress. And the littlest things, is something that would just be, taken, as a regular kind of comment. She would think about it, obsess about it, worry about it, try to figure out if there was anything behind it, etc., etc. And what this translated to, this took me a while really to see, because on the outside, and this is the interesting thing about this person is that she on the outside you never would know, like the people interacting with her would never really get a sense that she was having these emotions, because she's, this is a woman who's went to an Ivy League school, got a, very high degree, and is a very sophisticated person, and working at very, very high level jobs. And so on the outside, she had this like buffer zone around her, that was just very, very calm. And you never would know all of the feelings that she had, because she would act and respond completely appropriately, totally within the radar. But internally, she would, her complaint was, I'm always tense, I'm always stressed out, and I don't really know why. So it took me a while, and I did a few healings in one healing. And the first one, I was seeing this sort of calm exterior, and I was like, where is this complaint coming from? I don't see that this kind of paranoia. I don't see it. I see calm. But then the second healing, I was brought in completely close to the first layer and the second layer, the physical and the emotional body, first and second layers of the aura. It was really, really close. So you had this buffer, which really like, a foot and a half buffer of calm, and then completely undetectable under the radar, within like 2 inches of her physical body. She had this. I was able to make out finally how she was perceiving and receiving relatively normal experiences coming from people interacting with her. And it was pretty dramatic, really pretty dramatic what I was witnessing, because all throughout her aura, within 2 inches of her physical body, again, the first and second layer, the physical and the emotional bodies, were these cuts. And they were like little, the way I described it was as if you took the blade of a knife and put it against your skin, but didn't cut. But you definitely would feel the sharpness of the blade. You're like, whoa, be careful, and it's pressing in. It's actually on your skin. So that's what I saw in her aura. I saw about 100 different cuts in different angles. Little cuts. They were, like the size of like a hunting knife. All throughout her aura, and these really translated to all of her interactions with people. She had 100 of these, and then so my sense of it was that that she was bringing something to each experience, to each interaction, because the interactions themselves were relatively normal interactions, but she was experiencing them as this, sharp knife blade that was pressing against her skin, so to speak, her auric skin, and she was worried that she was going to get cut, so to speak. So So the third healing I did in this particular healing session, I got actually underneath the this layer that I'm talking about, this the knife cut layers, and I was able to see her emotional body underneath what she was bringing to the experience, such that normal everyday experiences were being received as potentially dangerous. She was, really nervous about ordinary experiences and fearful, paranoid that, there was something wrong with her, something she was doing wrong. She had to think about it, she had to obsess about it, etc., etc. So what I found, and I think I had seen this in an earlier healing a number of months ago, I got a vision. I remember I got a vision of her as like a 3 or 4 year old. And I think I remember she was standing in the doorway and watching her parents interact. And they were arguing. Really very intense energies going back and forth. It wasn't horrible, nothing horrible, nothing over the top. It was a normal relationship kind of arguments. But here was this 3 or 4 year old girl standing in the doorway and looking at her father, looking at her mother, and just standing there. And they really didn't see her. They didn't see her at all. And she was just standing there watching this for quite a while, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, before she walked away and realized that they had so much drama going on in their lives that they couldn't see her needs. And so in this particular healing, I saw it again. I saw that she really had all of these inner feelings that she wasn't adequate, she wasn't important enough to get attention, that there must be something wrong with her. So she had this. She just needed to be, said hello to and said, "How you doing? Come sit on Daddy's lap. Come sit on Mommy's lap. Let me brush your hair. How'd you do with your homework today? Let me read a story with you before you go to bed, etc., etc." She didn't have that, and when I told her these visions that I was having, she acknowledged it completely. That in fact this really was what her childhood was like. So now you got this inner state, this really highly tender and delicate inner state that was constantly worried that she wasn't enough, that that she was going to be abandoned, that she wasn't going to be paid attention. There was something wrong with her, obviously, from her childhood emotions. And so now every experience that she had in her life now, even though they're relatively normal experiences, she's completely, on red alert. Everything it's a potential cut. Everything, she's got to think about every little thing that people do, and it's just taking an enormous amount of energy, making her incredibly stressed out. Once again, of course, nobody's seeing this on the outside. It's really interesting how subtle these realms can be. So this is really an example of how this kind of internal state can create a really blown out of proportion sense of paranoia and worry and obsession about how the world perceives you. All right.